Number 6 on this list is a weed. The exact same one most of you rip out of your driveway cracks and throw in the yard bag without thinking twice. Number 14 is a yellow flower almost nobody in this country has ever heard of, and it used to be planted all over farmland before we just stopped growing it for some reason. And number 1, the very last one, is going to make you question everything you think you know about where fish actually get their omega-3. Not exaggerating that one. 15 plants. Count it down, and I'm telling you right now, the last 3 on this list are going to sound made up. They're not. I looked it up twice because I didn't believe it myself the first time. Some of these are already sitting in your kitchen right now doing nothing for you because nobody ever told you they mattered or what to do with them. Others you've walked past 100 times without ever once thinking of them as food. If you want more of this kind of digging, hit subscribe. It genuinely helps for a channel this size. Okay, let's start at 15. Number 15, Brussels sprouts, the vegetable everyone hated as a kid, mostly because somebody's mom boiled them into gray little balls of nothing. Turns out it's one of the better plant sources of omega-3 out there, and almost nobody eats enough of them for it to actually matter. You're looking at a full cup, not the 3 sad sprouts pushed to the side of a Thanksgiving plate. Roast them hot with too much oil, let the outer leaves go almost burnt and crispy, and suddenly the kid who hated these is asking for seconds without knowing why. Number 14, camelina, that yellow flower I mentioned at the very start. Old European crop, thousands of years old actually, mostly grown for its oil now, and it basically vanished once cheaper, blander oils showed up on shelves and edged it out of every kitchen. Nutty flavor, almost like a toasted sesame, solid omega-3 numbers, and a plant that got forgotten right along with everyone who used to grow it. You'll mostly find the oil in health food stores now, not the plant itself, which feels a little backwards if you ask me. Number 13, watercress. Grows right in shallow, moving water, which honestly still throws me off a little every time I see it. Most of what we eat comes from soil, and this stuff just floats there. Peppery bite, almost spicy. Kind of clears your sinuses if you eat too much of it at once, which I found out by accident. The ancient Greeks apparently fed it to soldiers, thinking it made them sharper in battle. No clue if that's actually true. Good story, though, and I've been repeating it to anyone who will listen ever since I read it. Number 12, mustard greens. Not the seeds, the actual leaves. Sharp, almost bites you back sharp when it's raw, the kind of sharp that makes your eyes water a little the first bite. Cooked down with a little garlic, it mellows out completely, turns almost sweet. Cheap to grow, cheap to buy, and grows in about a month from seed to plate, and most people just walk right past it at the store without a second look because it looks intimidating on the shelf. Pattern interrupt. Mistake story. Quick story before we keep going. 3 plants ago, I dumped flax, hemp, and a handful of walnuts into one lunch trying to speed run this whole thing. Big mistake. My stomach staged a full protest for the rest of the day. Ease into this stuff. Don't do what I did. We've still got 12 to go, and trust me, they get more interesting from here. Number 11, walnuts. Obvious one, I know, but most people eat 4 of them off a party tray and call it a day. You actually need a real handful, like a small fistful every day for it to add up to anything. And here's the weird part. They kind of look like tiny brains, all the same wrinkled folds and everything. Old folk medicine used to say that meant something. Some old doctrine of signatures idea, that a plant looks like the body part it's supposed to help. Probably coincidence. Still funny every time I crack one open and see it. Number 10, chia seeds. Everyone's heard of these. Almost nobody eats enough to matter. They usually end up as a garnish on top of something instead of an actual serving. 2 tablespoons in water, left to sit for maybe 10 minutes, and they turn into this thick, almost tapioca-looking gel. First time I saw that happen, I genuinely thought something was wrong with them, like they'd gone bad. Nope, that's just what they do, and it's actually the fiber doing that, swelling up and holding on to the water. Number 9, flaxseed. Old news for a lot of people, but here's the part people skip. Whole flaxseed basically passes straight through you undigested. You have to grind it. Didn't know that for 2 years myself. Ate it for nothing that whole time. Random thing nobody mentions about ground flaxseed. It goes rancid fast, like faster than you'd expect for something that looks so dry and harmless sitting in a bag. I learned that the hard way. Smelled almost like old paint one morning. If you're grinding your own, do small batches and keep it in the fridge, not the pantry. Small detail, but it's the difference between this actually working and just eating stale dust for a month. Halfway through the list now. Have you actually grown or eaten any of these so far? Drop the number in the comments. Genuinely curious how many people already knew about camelina versus just found out a few minutes ago like I did. Number 8, hemp seeds. Not what you're thinking. Calm down. I get that comment every time I mention it, so let's just get it out of the way now. This is the hold kind. Mild flavor, almost like a sunflower seed with a slightly softer bite. They've got this near-perfect fat ratio. Your body actually knows what to do with it. Doesn't have to work as hard to use it. I put them on everything now. Salads, soup, even scrambled eggs. And you genuinely can't tell they're there past the crunch. Number 7, Ikium. Tall plant, loud blue flowers. Honestly, one of the prettiest things on this whole list. And bees go completely crazy for it. You can hear the plant before you see it some mornings. The oil from these seeds converts in your body more easily than most plant sources do, which matters more than people realize. A lot of plant omega-3 has to get converted before your body can actually use it, and this one skips some of that work. Farmers used to plant it as a border crop around fields just to keep the dead stuff off the wind, and never once thought to eat it themselves. Pattern interrupt, small confession. Halfway through making this video, I actually forgot which plant was supposed to be number 6. Had to go back through my own notes to double check, because by this point, I had tried so many of these that they were all kind of blending together in my head. If that's happening to you too watching this, don't worry about memorizing all 15. Just remember the one that surprised you most and go look the rest up later. We've got 8 left. Funny thing, I once ordered a specialty seed oil online expecting some tiny sample bottle, and a full liter showed up on my porch. Use maybe 2 tablespoons of it 6 months. Lesson of the day, start small when you're ordering stuff you've never touched before. Okay, 7 left, and this next one's the weed from the very beginning. Number 6, Purslane. This is it, the sidewalk weed from the first 15 seconds of this video. Fat little rubbery leaves, grows in gravel, grows in cracks, grows basically anywhere you don't want anything growing. I used to rip it out of my garden beds and toss it in the yard bag. Actual mistake. Gram for gram, it beats spinach on omega-3, and it's not a small margin either. Number 5, Perilla leaf. Nobody in the U.S. has heard of this one unless they've had Korean food. Big, jagged leaves with an almost minty licorice smell when you crush them between your fingers, and the underside has this slight purple tint that catches the light weird when the wind moves it. I grow it now just for the smell, honestly. Highest plant source of omega-3 you can realistically grow in a backyard, and it comes back on its own every year without me doing much of anything.
Number 4, Sacha Inchi. This one's actually rare. Not just rare to your grocery store, rare period, even in most health food stores. Comes from the Amazon, grows in this little star-shaped pod hanging off a vine, and if you didn't know what it was, you'd assume it was decorative, not food. The seeds taste roasted, kind of nutty, closer to a sunflower seed than anything else on this list, and the omega-3 numbers on this thing are honestly a little ridiculous for something that grows wild in a rainforest. Final 3, and I mean it when I say these get weirder, because after this point, we're not really talking about plants growing in dirt anymore. Quick recap before we go there. Driveway weed at 6, Amazon rainforest seed at 4, forgotten yellow flower at 14, and none of that compares to what's coming. We're talking about the actual place all of this omega-3 starts, including the fish. Stick around for that last one. It's the whole reason I made this video. Number 3, seaweed. Kelp and nori specifically, the stuff wrapped around sushi rolls. Here's where things start flipping. This is a lot closer to where fish actually get their omega-3 in the first place, not the fish, what's floating around the fish. Number 2, spirulina. Blue-green powder, usually sold in a jar. Smells like the ocean floor, honestly. Kind of rough the first time you smell it. But it's basically a concentrated shot of the exact same source fish rely on, minus the fish entirely. Number 1, algae. And here it is, not pond scum, a specific cultivated strain grown in controlled tanks. This is the actual original source. Fish eat algae or eat something that ate algae, and that's the whole chain, start to finish. Skip the fish, skip the middleman, go straight to where all of it actually begins. So, back to that weed on the sidewalk from the very start, number 6 on this list. I had the answer growing in the cracks of my own driveway for 2 straight years while I was busy ordering rare Amazon seeds and liter bottles of oil I barely used. 15 plants, and the one closest to home was the one I almost threw away. Funny how that works out. You go looking for something rare and exotic, and the thing you needed was under your feet the whole time. If any of these got you curious, I did a whole separate video on how I grow Purslane and Perilla in the same bed without one taking over the other, number 6 and 5 on this list. Took me 2 seasons to stop them from fighting over the same patch of dirt. That one's linked right up top. Go check it out, and let me know down in the comments which number on this list surprised you the most.